Hello, everybody. Thanks for coming in and taking a listen to the Leon Legree podcast. Your host as always, Leon, and thank you so much for coming in, taking the time to listen for the latest and greatest in technology. Before we get right onto today's topic, which Monday, which is going to be a very short topic for today's um, session, and today's topic for today, we want to go ahead and bring up a new sponsors I am with, which is Instant Gaming. Now, if you have not heard of Instant Gaming is pretty much your place to go to shop for used and new games that are all out on the marketplace. Very recently, I've went ahead and purchased Batman Arkham Asylum. Now, if you've not heard about Arkham Asylum, it's pretty much an older title that's been around for a couple years, and it's a game that's has been pretty much received well. And throughout the Xbox, PlayStation 3 years, I haven't even got a chance to play the Arkham series, and I actually purchased the collection, which cost me around $10, close to $10. And I have to say, I'm really happy that I've went ahead and purchased. Personally, I purchased it over at Instant Gaming over than a service like Steam directly, because with Steam, I would have had paid for all four the Batman Arkham series for at least $80 in total. Now that's not the case. I've went ahead and saved a lot of money and not having to go full on retail through Steam. And now, while Steam does have its sales here and there, it's mostly a seasonal thing where you can only get it through holidays and special events that goes on. Now with this one here in Instant Gaming, it's you're always going to see a lot of the lower prices. And something I want to just go ahead and mention that if you use the affiliate link down below, you'll help this podcaster right here, and you pretty much end up helping me my works as a podcaster. And also, it's not just that helping me as a podcaster, you'll help yourself too from saving a lot of money. And because I game a lot right now with this new PC that I'm using with this AMD Ryzen 3000 series, which is the 3700X, and it is a wonderful piece of equipment I'm using. And I have to say, this is one of the best investments I've made, and I know that Arkham Asylum will work best when using this PC, and I am very, very happy with it. All right, let's get on with the show. Oh my goodness. I think with the weeks in technology, I haven't been keeping up with a lot of the trends this week, but I think what's one of the biggest hype machines I have actually ever come across. In fact, this was actually very, very recently, and thank goodness I'm actually calling myself back and reminding myself to talk more about hardware. And the last time I've actually talked about hardware was back with an AMD Ryzen 3700 review, which I done an audio podcast a couple episodes back, which anybody can go ahead and check it out and listen to it for yourself if you haven't. So one of the biggest news, actually, that was a big news deal that was back in October 8th of 2020, which was a couple days back, which was a news that came from Dr. Lisa Su on Twitter. And now, if you've not don't know who she is or where she is, so she is the current president and CEO of AMD, Advanced Micro Devices. So if for those that don't know, and I've been following her for some time. I actually recently followed her, and so she made like this big 30-minute presentation, and one of the things was one of the most interesting things that this presentation came up was, and now in this tweet she mentions, "Welcome to the world, AMD Ryzen 5000 series, our first processors with the amazing new Zen 3 architecture So proud of the AMD global engineering team. We love gamers. Hashtag game on AMD. So that was the latest tweet coming out from Dr. Lisa Su. Wow. And it's pretty cool. I'll have to say give it to that too. And it's pretty much been mind blowing. Now I'm not gonna go through the comments on underneath the tweet, but it is huge with AMD now coming with the Zen 3 processors, the third generation processors. Now I know a lot of people on YouTube. I've been watching YouTubers like J2 Cents and then LTT Linus Tech Tips on YouTube, just talking about their opinions. And so here I'm gonna go ahead and mention this about here as well. So let me go ahead and read a bit about the Zen 3. How does it stack up with the previous generations? So let me just read up on the first one, second, and then third gen Zen generation, which the first one says up to 4.35 gigahertz max boost plus 52% IPC 4 core complex, 8 MB L3 per complex, 5 MT enabled, new boost algorithms, 14 nm slash 12 nm, nano micro. Okay. And then Zen 2 pretty much beefed it up a bit, up to 2.7 gigahertz max boost plus 15% IPC for 4 core complex, 16 MB L3 per complex, chiplet designs, FP 256, and then the NM for it is 7 nm. Wow. So that's a good step up compared to the first Zen. Now, the Zen 3, which is going to be coming out within a couple of days. In fact, by next month, which AMD already announced on their presentation, which I'll have the link down below if you've not seen it. And I honestly wished I waited longer for the Ryzen 5000, but God, how would the hell I would have known about this news? But and this is one thing about AMD when it comes to AMD, which leaves a lot of good things on their plate, but at the same time, I felt that when you're looking at AMD, that they're trying to get ahead, in which they are right now. They're trying to just tumble Intel, tumble them down to the ground, which is, I think at this point, this is kind of sad with Intel, because they're still trying to find out how they're gonna work themselves around, which they're still trying to think how we're gonna step it up, and I hope they can step it up, believe it or not. Which to me, that's pretty much the sad part about where Intel is at right this moment. And if they don't step out with the next chipset, like Generation 11, then they're not gonna be the ones to jump ahead of AMD. Now, to me, I don't feel too bad about Intel at this point with the whole scandal that happened to them with the security flaws. To me, that should have been fixed right from the get-go, and making sure that would have been taken care of before launch. I don't like how shady it's pretty much becoming with Intel's camp, and so they're now going to have to figure out, how we're going to fix this. Well, who knows how they're going to go and fix this mess that they've got put in themselves too. And so that's something I'll have to wait and see where it goes with the Intel camp. And then what's funny, I think with J2 Cents even mentioned in his channel that even he said that the CEO of Intel even said that we are still a leader in game for gamers, which that's kind of partially true, but now I don't think not anymore, because you now are seeing a lot of gamers just dumping Intel for AMD already. I think everybody that can see it and that can see clearly with 2020 vision, knowing that this is where gamers are going for performance. I mean, this is quite sick performance if you ask me. And now we have Zen 3, which here um, in this bulletin, which I see here, it says higher max boost, significant IPC uplift, new core layout, new cache topology, 7 nanometer. Okay, and so that's one of the things that was in their Zen journey. Now, they're funny enough, like while I was looking up on their presentation, they're now looking ahead already for Zen 4 some point in the future, which is quite crazy. It really is. And now for me, now for my motherboard, for the MSI motherboard that I'm using, the X570. Now I heard that I can still switch out chipsets for a brand new chipset if I wanted to, which is still going to be compatible with the brand new chips for AMD's chipsets. So yeah, that's what I've understand. Now for the 5000 series, but again, I know that there's been a lot of articles that I've looked up. In fact, one of the articles called Digital Trends, maybe, but I'll have to put the link down below to put that on. Oh, excuse me. That would be hothardware.com. They've even actually have a guide where what motherboards were still gonna be compatible with the Ryzen 5000 Zen 3. BIOS support added to their Asus, Gigabyte, MSI, and so on too. So I know that those are like the leader of motherboards they're supporting AMD Ryzen as of right now for the 5000 series. Still, I mean, I think and this is where I'm gonna put my added points to this is that when AMD said in a previous statement, in fact, one of the commentators said that what AMD said before was that Ryzen is going to be the chipset that's going to still taste like still going to be fresh as fine wine down the road. I think that is pretty much a statement that is going to be very, very true. It's still going to hold up well later down the road. I think at this point, Intel, we've already seen a shift now where Intel was like the leader of the chipsets, right? But now you're seeing the other way around where AMD is really pretty much has themselves on board and looking what they can do with themselves. I mean, look at that. You already have a new leadership on with Dr. Lisa Su here in charge right now too, taking full advantage what semiconductors can do. I mean, look at that. I mean, there was actually a big rumor over in the internet where it was going to succeed up to 5 megahertz, or excuse me, 5 gigahertz of CPU power. And now the overclocking is not true, which actually is pretty close with the Zen 3, which they says about 4.9. Not even spot on to 5 gigahertz. Now, that's super fast for 5 gigahertz. I can see myself upgrading to the Zen 3 and giving it a shot, but since I see now that the Zen 4 is actually still in the works right now, and I'm probably guessing that Zen 4 will be out by no time, probably by the spring. But who knows though? Because I would take that a lot of it's gonna have to it's going to be take some time for the Zen 4 to be released, and if the Zen 4 is going to be have like a potential release, let's just say by April, and if it's going to succeed up to 5 gigahertz, then you know what, that is the goal right there, and that's be the savings goal of the Zen 4 instead of the Zen 3. If somebody is just as enthusiastic or are looking into doing some crazy overclocking for their machine, then by all means you can kind of wait for the Zen 4 to come out and not having to purchase the Zen 3. Now, even though the Zen 3 is still gonna be very powerful, and I agree with that too. Now, the 5000 series has just been talked about on and on and on. And now the other one, which is actually going to be around the corner around in a couple of days too, which is going to be the Ryzen 6000. And that's going to be a huge thing. I think a lot of gamers, in fact, a lot of gamers, a lot of computer enthusiasts is going to start looking and say, "Oh my god, this is going to be a big step up." And I agree. It's a huge step up than the 3000 series too. It's incredible. I think what AMD is putting themselves out there, I think they are now the leaders in gaming right there too for processors. I mean, at this point, forget Intel. And I think what's sad about the whole thing is that the CEO of Intel posted a blog statement saying that we are the the leader, the company leader for gamers, right? And I find it funny because he posted like a day before the launch event of the 5000 and 6000 series, which is crazy. I can't believe how ridiculous this is, and I hope that they pretty much Intel can get their heads out of the sand and start thinking about how that company can step up right there too. And I mean, if they cannot think this well and find a way through this, then they're gonna be left behind. So that's pretty much far from the truth. And if people can't really see that, and if you're still fanboying for Intel and you can't really see what they are as a company, I'm sorry to say that you gotta get your fanboyism out. Look, I would argue the same if AMD was doing some shady shit in the background, and anybody not know it. So yeah, I mean, to me at this point, I'm not brand loyal because I hate brand loyalty. At this point, why be so brand loyal to someone or something? If it's not going to work out, you know. And if you have a company that has screwed up so many times and not learned the damn thing, then you might as well say, you know what, you have lost me as a consumer at this point, right? And right, anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and switch gears because with I'm gonna go talk about graphics card. Yeah, this is coming from AMD. Now, the Ryzen, on the other hand, I haven't heard too much about the Ryzen graphics card, and it hasn't had much talk ever since recently as well. And which in the Verge, it says AMD says RX 6000 Big Navi will be by far the most powerful gaming GPU we have ever built. Oh wow, another statement right there. And it says promising 4K gaming at over 60 frames per second. Whoa. So let's continue on with this article, which says AMD just announced its new Zen 3 powerful Ryzen 5000 series CPUs, but CEO Lisa Su didn't stop there, ending her presentation with the preview of AMD's other big PC announcement, the company's upcoming RX 6000 Big Navi GPUs, which it's set to announce on October 28th. While the full details on the upcoming lineup on graphics cards won't come until later in October, Sue is setting expectations high, promising that the RX 6000 lineup offers by far the most powerful gaming GPU we have ever built. Sue also offered a brief preview of when to expect from the company's top of the line Ryzen 5000 CPUs working together with the new RX 6000 series GPUs, showing a short clip of Borderlands 3 running at 4K resolution at over 60 frames per second at badass quality. Woohoo! And what, along with benchmarks for Call of Duty Modern Warfare running at 88 frames per second for 4K at ultra settings, and Gears 5 73 frames per second for 4K gaming at ultra settings. Whoa. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool that this is really nice. I will say my story with with Radeon. I haven't actually used one in years, and if that's something that it's going to be as powerful and it's going to present 4K gaming, let's just see though, because I think Nvidia is a little bit a step ahead. I I would say compared to the Radeon, though Radeons are not a bad card, and I'm sure that it's going to show its potential when it's run, but I think at this point for me, I don't think I'm ever going to see myself going for a brand new GPU, because I already have one which is from Nvidia as well, and I still like my Nvidia card, so that's not something I myself was gonna get into. But who knows how it's gonna be? Depends on the budget. And on The Verge, which it says, continue on the article, the new RX 6000 GPUs are a big deal for AMD. Not only do they mark the company's most powerful cards yet, but they will also see the debut of the company's next generation RDNA 2 graphics architecture. RDNA 2 isn't just powering the new desktop PC GPUs, it's also bi- uh, the bias the basis for the custom GPUs in both the Xbox Series X, S, and the PlayStation 5. Excuse me for that stumble of my words. Whew, goodness gracious. But I think this is just showing how powerful this is going to be. But I don't know. I mean, I would love to see a side by side comparison for both the latest RTX. The I'd like to see a comparison between the Radeon and the NVIDIA RTX 3080, which something I'd like to see compared side by side. It's for me. I would like to see what's the real numbers, and what's the big deal behind this too. So if I had, let's say, two running PCs and compared the GPUs along the side, I think that would be a fair comparison. See what runs better, what GPU runs better. So again, I have to say, because I think any company will ever say, will always going to say, oh, the Radeon is going to be the much better GPU out of the competition, which I kind of doubt right there too. But having to have a side by side benchmark will be a much comparable, which going to be better, of course. So continue on. While AMD didn't call out Nvidia directly during today's presentation, it's hard not to look at those numbers and start comparing them to the company's recently released RTX 3080 GPU, just like what I mentioned, which makes similar promises to practical 60 FPS plus 4K gaming. That said, we'll have to wait for AMD to give some more concrete details before it's possible to really compare the two GPUs lineup. And that is just what I just said already too about the two GPUs. And then I'm going to go ahead and talk about price points. Now, when it comes to computers, I think one of the most biggest piece of investment has to be CPUs. Motherboards, there are just as pricey as well. I think a lot of people are gonna have to understand that. I think at least one point, some point or the other, that I think AMD used to be cost friendly when it came down with their CPUs, and it was actually one of the most affordable ones too. And plus, it worked with a lot of gamers. even back then at the time around 20 years ago, if I'm not mistaken, right when it was Atheon. Atheon was the biggest CPU that was ever to come from, and was very popular back then too, playing a lot of the old school titles back in the days in the PC world, and it was pretty much still a big CPU fight, Intel versus AMD, and a lot of the gamers did go on pretty much. They had to choose between AMD, Atheon, or the Intel Core 2, which was the one of the most powerful chipsets of back in the days. And now, I think it's starting to prove now with AMD. Now it's starting to get much more pricier, and I'm going to just get on the price point right there too. So I'm going to go ahead and read price by price on 3 of the processors for the 5000 series. And look, and I have to say, I will say with the 3000 series, I still have my computer. It was expensive, hella expensive. Not to mention that I am myself that I had to put my earned money on a CPU for it to work and function for me. Let me just put it this way: if you're going to invest, you better damn well save a lot. CPUs nowadays is not cheap, and I'm gonna go over point after point for this next screen's presentation slide here that I've been seeing right here, which I'm gonna read over Ryzen 5 5600X, which it's gonna be costing anyone up to 300 USD. That's still a pretty penny. And if you think, oh, $300 not enough, and I have to tell you this: you just can't fart out $3,000 and expect anyone to just jump in for 3,000. Still pretty hefty on the price point too. Even at this point, I'm sure that there's going to be people are going to have to go with like an Intel and stick with Intel for their main CPU, because at this point Intel is not as costly right now, even though yes they are suffering a lot because due to the security flaws and the whole mess. But I think at this point, I'm sure there's still going to be people buying Intel compared to AMD because the cost is just way too high. That's one of the things, is that how many people are going to expect themselves to spend an atrocious amount of money for CPUs. Now again, if you are investing, one of the things I would say for anyone investing on a CPU, you're gonna have to spend, and even if it's gonna hurt the wallet or break the bank. That's one of the things. If you are a serious PC builder and looking into long term, this is gonna be it right there too. Now for Ryzen 7 5800X, we're looking at about $450 USD. Still a lot right there. That's just close to 500. So again, still very serious dollars. You have to take into account, and something that is not easy. That's not easy, and say, oh, that's nothing. And now let's get to the next part for the Ryzen 9 5900X. One of the most expensive ones, which goes up to 4.9 gigahertz, the priciest of them all, and which accounts for $549 USD, the highest out of all the CPUs that I've just read to you too, compared to the 5800X and the 5600X. So look at that, huge price point right there too. Now I don't know about you listeners, I don't know what your thoughts about it. I think it is still a hefty price point. One point, AMD used to be very price efficient, and now it's just like, what? This is so much money. And absolutely it is. And absolutely. And now I will mention something right there. Now I did look into the price, look it up on Newegg, on the Intel Core i9 10900K. This is a 10 core, which is a 3.7 gigahertz LGA. Now, I'm looking at the price compared with AMD. If you're going to look up to spend the most out of your buck and looking for the highest processor, I mean, you're better off going with AMD instead of Intel Core i9, for example. I'm looking at the price point now. It is going around $743, much more costly. Though I'm sure you may find something much cheaper and inexpensive somewhere around a Christopher Columbus or Prime Day sale coming around the corner. And look at this right there too. I think I'm sure that a lot of people are going to have to look into AMD because if you cannot go for the highest one of them all, the 5900X, then you're best sticking with a Ryzen 500 600X at this point. That's pretty much $300. Super pricey. And honestly, though, I would say at this point, I would say look into going for something that's going to be less costly. And I'm sure there's going to be like Black Friday deals that anybody can check up on, which I encourage all my listeners to do that. And it's no reason to rush into the launch date because at this point, I can't see myself just jumping into the launch date and say, I must get the 5000 series. No, absolutely not. I mean, at this point, I think a lot of people should just look in and say, okay, I'm sure there must be a Black Friday deal somewhere around the corner. There's no need to rush. And I think at this point, if you use your head, not jump into the latest and greatest, you guys should be fine right there too. And lastly, I'm going to put it this way too. And just get right to the point because I'm going to go and end this podcast right here. And just to say right there too, AMD, it is just killing it. And the competition is where it's at with Dr. Lisa Su and the team building the architecture of the CPU. It is phenomenal. I mean, looking where they're going. I mean, this is pretty much a chip's already light years of its head. And you look at Intel right now, and Intel claiming that they're like the leaders of gamers still. That's just an understatement. I mean, how are you going to start winning gamers back? How are you going to start winning CPU enthusiasts? And it doesn't make a lot of sense. The CEO makes a statement and can say that, look, I think the Intel should have had fixed the security flaws issue or should have had seen this coming already. I mean, to me, I don't feel bad for Intel. I mean, they've already made money over the years with what they've been going through already. Look, I don't feel bad, and to me, I'm not particularly in any camp per se, because at this point, you kind of think, well, look, I know where my money is going to be at too. I know where it's going to be. If it's going to be worth spending money with AMD that's putting power to the gamers, then so be it. This is where it's going to go financially. And then to me, I look at AMD as now reigning king of the CPUs as of right now too. I mean, it's just now reigning king over Intel. I mean, forget Intel. They're just sinking below. I mean, the only way Intel is going to start gaining any momentum is, for one, they gotta get their shit fixed, and they've got to get themselves together back again too if they're gonna win the trust of consumers and trust of computer enthusiasts like me. That's one. And then secondly too, I think they should get out. They should have fresh new leadership on Intel. The workers and the employees is not at fault, but I think at this point they really wanted to rush in and bring out the latest and greatest in CPU without any of the fixes. To me, that is a total slop, really sloppy for Intel to just go ahead and rush a product like that too. It's really bad. Look, you already have Intel leading the way in speed, performance, everything like that you want out of a CPU, and you want something to run. And to me, my built over the summer was one of the best builds I've ever made. I've tested out so many other games with the Ryzen 3000 processor running on my computer with MSI. Just to mention, and I have to say, I'm having one of the best experience right there, and it's running really well without the frontal pan, the front pan, fan running. Which, even though it's not healthy to do that, guess what? I'm gonna get myself a fan and have pretty much get that running as soon as possible, because I'm sure at this point it's gonna start. It's gonna need some support on the front fan blowing on the back too, because it's definitely need more cooling with things running in the background. Yeah, just to say that right there too. And that's how I feel at this point. I love AMD, and I've had used AMD in the past, and I felt that the performance with not just games but for multitasking, it's been really wonderful. And I've been very happy with this chipset over the summer. And to me, I know that my friend is actually looking into making an investment with a CPU coming up over the fall, and I'm going to look into helping my friend, and he's actually going to be picking out AMD processor for the fall, and I can't wait to get that built for him. So am eager to get it built, something like that for a friend at this point. Well, guys, that is it right now, which I don't want to try to ramble your ears off. What do you think about what's going on in the realms of CPUs? Do you still think that AMD is a king of the ring, or are you still fanboying on Intel, thinking, oh, Intel has still got it and they're right into their boots? But anyways, you guys let me know over on a review on iTunes, Podchasers, and much more, or wherever you listen to me on to. I hope I can read you on your comments, and hopefully I hope you like this short, quick episode. And it wasn't too long, but wanted to get my thoughts out there before the weeks ahead too. So I just want to do that. All right, that'll be all for this episode. Thanks again for listening. Peace out. Ciao.